With Knicks going to San Antonio, looking for four in a row against a Spurs team that just came off this a back-to-back game in which they were playing an overtime game the night before against the Nets, but came out with more energy, came out with more tenacity, came out with more hustle, out-hustled, out-muscled these Knicks, and outshot these Knicks on the three-point line. 18 three-pointers the Knicks gave up tonight. The Knicks defense just did not come to play. And they were down a couple guns. No D Rose, no Payton. The 2-point guards on the Knicks were out. D Rose, a late game scratch. No Taj Gibson. So the Knicks came in there shorthanded. And it just wasn't their night tonight. One of those nights, man. A letdown game. Knicks go down in the Alamo, 119-93.
I feel like the Spurs were packing the paint, and I don't think the passes were coming out of the paint enough. And I just think that, the Spurs missed shots. We couldn't stop the dribble penetration. And at the same time, we couldn't hit shots. And when the second unit came in, that's when the game shifted. We all of a sudden, we went on like a 9-0 run or
8-0
something.
8-0 run, yeah.
8-0 run with Quickley and Toppin hitting threes. And it looked like, all right, we're back in this game. But Knicks had their typical third quarter of doom. And it was kind of sparked by the last 0.7 seconds.
I hated that, bro. I didn't like the juju that came off of that last play with Patty Mills. Go ahead, man.
Yeah,
I didn't like that.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't start off too bad. I mean, it was a little rocky in the beginning, but the Knicks seemed to be able to get it together. I mean, Randle, Quickley, and RJ seemed to go ahead. They had double digits going into the half, so they seemed to figure out the formula to go ahead and keep this game together, keep this team in it, rather. They still needed additional help, and that help really never fully came. I mean, the Spurs aren't the best home team. They're 8-9 at home, but they're still the San Antonio Spurs, and they're still well coached. And it didn't help that after the half had ended, that they just couldn't miss. I mean, I think what set the whole thing into motion was that buzzer beater by Patty Mills. And then after that, it was just lights out. I mean, we couldn't hit anything and they couldn't miss anything. It was just a disaster. And also, we're just not getting to the line enough. I just think in the first half, we only shot 2 free throws, and that came off RJ Barrett's back. And it's a lot similar to what we did in the Pistons game. I think in that game, we only had 8 free throws in the entire game, or around that number. It's just we're not playing smart. We're playing hard, but we're not playing smart. And when you play a team like the Pistons, you can get away with that, but you can't get away with that with the San Antonio Spurs. That's a different team, and they have a winning record in the West, and that's not easy to do.
We had to settle for a lot of hero ball from Randle, and that's never really a good thing, having him, really running the offense. We were just out of sync. We were out of sync once again offensively, and that just carried throughout the whole game. You got no contributions once again from Reggie Bullock, only with 3 points. They continue to try to pass the ball to Noel, who, defensively, we know what he gives us. Offensively, he should not be touching the ball unless it's on the Gotham lob. Even then, it's good luck. You know
and
what I'm
not
saying?
unless, we got to put some super glue on his hands,
We
perhaps.
got- we
And I can give him
can.
some. Yeah, I definitely think that, this wasn't Julius's best game, as you just mentioned. And also, if you noticed, he was trying to get people involved, but also his shot selection wasn't that great. His ball handling wasn't that great tonight either. It was very sloppy.
Yeah, the turnovers.
The turnovers. It was just, he just wasn't at his best. And defensively, as you just attested to, it also wasn't, the Julius Randle that we've been seeing, the all-star that we've been seeing.
One of those nights, man. 16 turnovers. Again, just seeing where the Spurs were coming from on the second of a back-to-back. They have about 4 rotation players out. You wanted to see the Knicks try to take advantage a little bit, and their energy was not up to speed with the Spurs. They were turning the ball over. They were not together. They were out of sync. And again, defensively, we just weren't there.
I actually agree with Tibbs' decision, man, to start Frank and have IQ, just because you saw with just Burks with the second unit it's going to lack a lot. It's going to lack a lot of scoring.
You're going to need IQ, man.
You're going to need IQ. Yeah, you're going to need IQ for that second unit. So for me, flipping it and just having Frank with Burks and then having IQ is just too much. You're just too top heavy at this point. Like it's best to start Frank, come off the bench with IQ, and then you close with IQ. If the game gets tight, you close with IQ.
I'm for it. I Again, just the time. Well, I think Tibbs timed it right because for a second there, I didn't think we were ever going to see Frank back in the game. It went the way quickly came in late in the first and played damn near the whole first half after that. So
RJ Barrett got into foul trouble. And that's why he came back.
Right. So I wasn't sure how much of Frank we were going to see. So Quickley did get some meaningful minutes, and then he finished in trash time. But the way, because we were down so many bullets, with Rose out, Payton out, you kind of just needed to balance the lineup a little bit. And again, Burks, 1 for 9. It's inconsistent play, man.
Thanks, Frank. I mean, listen, Frank, I'm glad he started tonight because I think defensively it was a good job against Murray, right, to get things started. The offense didn't flow really well, right, because he doesn't drive to the basket, but you can tell he needs to be in the rotation because the man can hit a three. So we need to put him in the rotation. Yeah. We all know that. Randle was tired. That was obvious. Obi, listen, I like Obi, but he just looks lost out there sometimes, right? He needs a point guard. I would love to get like Alonzo Ball here. He'd be perfect to lob him the ball and just get him up there. But, I think Rick Brunson really convinced Leon Rose. He's like, yo, you got to draft this kid. Think Knox. Listen, he can hit the corner three. We know that. That's corner Kev. I think he needs to get some of Obi's minutes. I'm sorry. Like, maybe people don't want to hear that, but Obi's getting those minutes because he was the pick last year.
Right.
Otherwise, I think Knox should be getting those minutes.
Yeah, something's got to give. We gotta try to get Kev back in the mix. Got to try to get Kev back in the mix. I'm with Lonnie on that one. You know what I mean? And with Frank, remember, Frank shot over 50% from the corner as well last year. And that's where they found him. They went to him on back-to-back plays and then caught him on the other side.
That's what I've been saying, man. I'm like, dude, this guy can hit. Before he went down, he had 12 points, he had 4 for 4 from threes. I'm just like, I can see the progression. So for him to just go away and also be able to play defense, I'm just like, man, if he can hit threes and play defense, isn't that what every team needs? Like, so I just didn't get it. You know what I mean? Kev too. Kev might need some more minutes in this rotation if he can hit some shots, because at this point Toppin looks he doesn't look confident.
It's hard to look confident though when you are essentially walking on eggshells, and I feel like that's what Obi's doing, because it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys ever watched Tua play for the Miami Dolphins, but every time he would do something wrong, they'd pull him and they bring Fitzmagic in. So it's like you're essentially walking on eggshells because you have a limited window of opportunity to showcase that, hey, I am supposed to be here. I am ready. Play me, coach. I'm here. Pay attention to me. Hi, help me. Let me help you. But then also that one mistake, one thing that you do that the coach does not like, he's going to pull you. And then also that the plays that are being constructed on the court, your teammates aren't, passing the ball to you. Yeah. Going back to the plays, the plays aren't designed to showcase your strength. So you of course you're going to look lost. You're out there, basically you're playing with this monkey on your back, this shadow lurking behind you. You're not comfortable. You can't really get into the motion of the NBA game because every single thing you do, unlike the other guys on that court, is under a different lens, a different microscope, and it makes it very, very hard to kind of showcase and get into your rhythm as a player. It's impossible to do that. It's virtually impossible.
A lot of people is overlooking Popovich, you know what I'm saying? Don't be surprised if he gets mentioned about Coach of the Year too.